13 flight controllers. Listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
Vital.
We go fly.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's entertainment.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the HVAC Survival Channel live stream Sunday evening. Just wanted to check in with everyone. I don't see my comments here. Probably like to have that.
Dave G, he's chanting, "We want Rick, we want Rick, Rick,
Oh, jeez.
Rick."
Silliness.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
So,
It's asking me to answer what snacks I've heard of before I'm allowed to watch the live stream on my.
well, I didn't monetize it, so, you know, that way I can get my 4 cents for each view, you know. I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 937. So, yeah. All right. So, how's everyone's weekend? Everyone ready to go back to that fun grind? I'm sure everyone is. So,
Don't remind me.
can't wait. Can't wait. Samuel, it just kind of depends. I believe we're going to have at least one. And, but we'll have to see whether he pops up or not. I gave him the link. So, we'll see whether or not anything happens with that. What else do we got going on here in the chat area? Have we got any questions or anything like that?
Oh my gosh, Bill, he's like, Rick, crowd goes wild. So I don't know if he was the one who instigated it.
What were we talking about, Bill?
Yeah.
Mr. Curious?
Thank you, Bill. That was very nice of you.
The Curious ZZ Top Man. Okay, so. Well, Samuel, Rich, and Bill, and Dave, gosh, guys, it's great to see you all out there, and Weaver. And looks like we got a few of them. We got 33. That's awesome. Appreciate you guys stopping in. As you know, nothing's usually prepared, and that's usually the way it rolls. And that's pretty much how every day is. You never know what you're going to do.
That's how Rick rolls, if you guys don't know that yet.
And we can pull that off. I'm okay with it. I do got a few things that we can talk about. I mean, you know, the latest and greatest from Inficon, the D-Tek 3. And you guys have already seen some stuff here on the Inficon Stratus. So these two little nuggets of technology here are neck and neck. Basically, you know, we're going to go over some of the details of these cool detectors from Inficon. I'm pretty excited about the D-Tek 3 because it puts it in the price range of most technicians. The Stratus, price-wise, is great when you have to have the parts per million display. So when you're in a grocery store application, a lot of times they want to know what's your part per million leak. That way they decide what they need to repair and not repair and things like that. And there's only, as far as I know, one other manufacturer that's got that, and it's about $3,500. And Inficon comes in there around $800 to $850 area for that Stratus, which is an expensive detector, but it's made in America. It has a 2-year over-the-counter warranty, which both of them have. And one of the cool things about it is on actually both of them, which is what really impressed me the most, was the lithium-ion batteries and some of the how fast it charges. If you guys...
And it brews coffee, if you can see that, as it's waiting.
We'll start the other one here too. Basically, you just got to hold it for about 2 to 3 seconds and it kicks on. And as you guys might have noticed, I'm a total geek when it comes to leak detection. I mean, it's one of them things where you either hate it or you love it. I like it just because...
You need to recreate that photo that's not been linked on the internet.
Which one?
You on the couch.
With the dogs?
No, with a probe in each ear.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, you were like this.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay.
You're crazy.
No, you're crazy.
Whatever. So, yeah, maybe you can get rid of the halogen torch. They say it won't work with the new refrigerants, from what I was told. When I came into the field back in '95, it was slowly going away, and supposedly it was only good for, like, you know, the CFC refrigerants, I believe. But we're ready to roll here with the D-Tek 3. One thing that's kind of cool about it is they added a volume button on the side and a mute, which
why is my coffee still brewing?
That's one thing I didn't like about it. It's got more technology, so it takes a little longer to warm up. And if you had the D-Tek Select, which is what this is replacing, it was really quick. So a lot of times I would just grab that one just because I didn't want to wait on it. But that one there's got a lot of cool features. It just depends on the application and what you're wanting to do. You know, it's just like far as, you know, there's different detectors for different needs. It just really depends.
My coffee's done.
Your coffee's done. It's ready to roll.
Okay, we can roll.
So they both have the same wand, and they're both the same length. But the Stratus comes with a extra long one.
This is a big handful, though.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's very girthy. If you have small hands, you're not going to like this.
Hey, a bigger detector makes you a better HVAC technician. What can I say? Battery life for these guys, they charge in 3 hours. It's supposed to last up to as much as 10 hours on the D-Tek 3. The Stratus is going to be maybe an hour shorter. They said somewhere between 8 and 9. I've sat there and let this thing just run. I mean, both of them are infrared technology. They both use the same sensor. They both use the same batteries. They both have the same sensitivity. These are rated at 0.03. We're going to go ahead and show you that volume button. So we hit it once, it lowers it, hit it again, it goes mute. And then that one there's got it on the side too. There. So they both can mute out, which is awesome. They use a micro USB on the side. So you can plug this thing into your phone jack that you would normally use, or you can put it into a cigarette plug adapter that you see all the time. The Stratus comes with a few extra toys. It came with that longer probe. One of the reasons why they did that was because when you're searching with CO2, they don't want to have any CO2 from like your breath and stuff like that false in.
Why? So I'm just, you know, going through the mode, and I put it on, it's on cloud hunting.
Yep.
And now I feel it ticking, like it's sniffing.
It's calibrating. They're inside the machine. It actually has a port that it's sampling from inside there, and it has a little filter on it. And it's trying to figure out background versus what's inside of the machine. And the other competitor, they actually use a charcoal filter. This one has some sort of little filter too. But, you know, they're basically sampling the air versus what they're sampling inside the machine versus sampling outside. And that's how they're getting their parts per million. It's a calculated parts per million from the way it was explained to me. The sensor is handmade here in the United States. Both machines are assembled here in the United States with global parts, just like most any of them.
I'm going to feel this one.
There's quite a size difference in it.
Oh, I like the way this feels in the hands better.
It's smaller, and it weighs
like
less than
it.
a pound.
Yeah, this one's a lot lighter.
You can hear that.
Hey, Chloe. Where's Chloe? Can we sniff her butt with it and see if either one goes off?
I'm fine not sniffing the dog's butt. So there's a size difference there.
Yeah, there's...
Thickness-wise...
It's going to poke me in the face.
You know, you never complain any other time. So, yeah, so Refrigeration Rookie had bad luck. Yeah, he did have some issues. You know, I've got mixed on both. My machine, because of all this COVID stuff going on, they did not send me a brand new one to try out on the Stratus. So this is a remanufactured, or, you know, basically it was a returned one that they went through and sent it to me. Now, the D-Tek 3, I actually sent mine back that I just purchased a few months prior, and because of my working with the guys there and stuff, they were willing to swap it out because of the poor battery life, and you know, they sent it to me. So essentially, I paid for this one. This one here was provided to me to kind of review and look over, so that's full disclosure there. Battery life, though, was the biggest thing that I thought was really cool on it, because, I mean, it just goes and goes and goes. And it's got 4 levels of sensitivity. You've got super, you've got high, medium, and low. And you've got the parts per million, you've got your manual 0, and then you got your parts per million. Now, the D-Tek 3 has 2 modes. It's got pinpoint, it's got 4 levels of sensitivity, and it's got the auto zeroing. So when you do the auto zeroing, it's basically one of the few that I've noticed that actually is responsive and actually locks out and starts right in going at it again. Whereas, you know, I'm a total geek. I've played with both of the detectors from Field Piece. I've got an H10 Pro. I had an H10 PM. I've got a TIF ZX. I have used the old D-Tek Selects, and I think that's about it as far as the ones I've played with and tried out and stuff. But the auto zeroing on this seems to work really well, and it's very snappy. The pinpoint mode is the auto zeroing that you guys have always been used to. I mean, you literally are on it and wham, beep. I mean, you move a little bit away, it stops and backs right to it. And I mean, it's very snappy. It doesn't lock out. It's still using the same sensor that you've known before in the past.
The same one you know and love.
Yeah. It's got an O-ring in there, and basically it keeps the water, grease, and oil out. So it's pretty indestructible. You know, that's one thing that my H10 Pro has got issues with. They have nothing to really protect it. So if you're in that drain trap and you accidentally get it in there, you're sucking it in, you've got to tear it apart. I end up usually just kind of blowing through it and disassembling the pump and just completely going through it after that happens. Far as battery life and stuff, like I said, it's supposed to be between 8 and 9, and sometimes they say 10 or whatever.
Joe wants to know, he says he has a field piece resistor and likes it for the 410A. He wants to know what you do not like about it.
Which one?
The field piece resistor, and he likes it for 410A specifically.
Well, Fieldpiece makes an infrared, and they make a heated diode. The heated diode, the only reason why I bought it was because of Nate's HVAC said it was absolutely the greatest out there, and you know, I figured it's cheap. I mean, the thing was like, I don't know, it was $275 or something like that, and so I got it. And I did not like it at all. It constantly false alarmed. You breathed on it. It was going off outside. It was going off inside. I've got a video of it. I sent it to Fieldpiece, and they were really good. They're like, send it back. And I said, hey, can I try out the infrared? And they actually sent me the infrared in place of it. So, you know, Fieldpiece makes great equipment. They stand behind it, and they'll do what they can to make it right. So I can't say anything bad about them. They're an awesome company.
The diode, not the resistor version.
Yeah, the diode version I just did not like. I liked the infrared better, but it was not as sensitive, and it did not even come close to the H10. You know, the H10 is in a league in its own, depending on what refrigerant you're on. You know, there's nothing out there for the most part that beats it on R22, but, you know, unfortunately, R22 is slowly going away. And,
Shannon McKnight says that SRL8 gives a lot of false positive, just like the rapid corona testing.
Yeah, pretty much.
60% false positive rate.
Pretty much, yeah.
Take that to the bank.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yep. Yeah, yeah, if you have any problems, if you have any problems with your stuff, get a hold of Fieldpiece directly. Them guys have been great. I have a dual manometer with the pressure switch testing on it, and I called them up, and they were going to either fix it for free or do it for a very low flat rate. Nobody else does that. So, I mean, they are an awesome company when it comes down to it. If something's not working right, I mean, they take care of things out of warranty, and they just, obviously, they were a bunch of techs and stuff like that created the company, and they just really take care of their customers. So I can't say enough about them or say anything bad about them. I mean, it is what it is. I found a detector I liked, and the D-Tek Select, I had it for a long time. I had the original version that was a heated diode, and that thing was unbelievable on R22. And then, the Select had changed itself, I think, at least 3 times. And that's why they finally just came out and just changed it to D-Tek 3. So they didn't want to call it Select anymore.
So Joe, if Joe says he doesn't have that issue with his, but he only uses his on the 400 series refrigerant. So Joe, just curious, what other leak detectors do you use if you only use that Fieldpiece on your 400 series refrigerants?
Yeah, because with me, it just depends. If you do residential, you're just doing 410A and R22 most of the time, maybe some 407C or whatever. But, with me, I'm doing all of them, R22, 34A, 407C, F, all of them. Everything out there, high and low. And there is differences on the different refrigerants. It doesn't work the same with all of them across the board. 134A is one of the more difficult ones sometimes. The H10 does great, but my biggest problem with the H10 is battery life. And, the wand, it's really short and you can't get in there, and it's big and bulky. It's very loud. I even put tape over the speaker to, deaden the sound some. But I mean, the thing works. And with that heated diode, it's more of an analog signal is the best way for me to describe it versus digital. So when you're getting close to it, if it's even remotely more powerful of a signal, you'll hear that slow ramping up a tip, 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 tip. Where digital, it's all or nothing. Either it's going to go hog wild or not. So once you learn that H10, I mean, that's what I really love about it. But it's not fast. I mean, to get a true accurate measurement out of it, it takes almost a full 2 minutes to warm up. If it's wintertime, it takes even longer. It takes less in the summer when it's hotter. So, you know, the H10 is awesome. I used it exclusively for the longest time. I traded my old Select for it at my previous employer, and I loved it. And still, I use it to this day. I mean, it's the standard at which I test everything against them. And, you know, I've been, for the longest time now, because I've had the Stratus now for at least 4 months, 5 months, you know, I'm not going to come on here and say that it's something great if it's not. I mean, I'm going to be specific about it. I'm going to be like, look, here's what you have to do. So, I mean, you've got to listen to exactly how I word it and stuff like that, because I'm not going to, you know, say anything that's a piece of shit, but I'm basically going to say, here's what it does and here's how you get to that result. Bill, yeah, I like the AccuTrack too. Now, the AccuTrack, and I've got a video, I don't use it on all the calls. I only use it every now and again. I use it for those weird ones. I use it for 410A up on roofs where it's windy. I use it for places where it's a big leak. Now, I was in a rack house for refrigeration at a grocery store. It was kind of really individual units all in a rack location, but it had a big old leak, and so I couldn't hear crap. I mean, you had 7 or 8 other compressors running, fans running, big old fan thing behind my head sucking things out. And I'm like, this sucks. So I went ahead and pressurized it, and I pulled out the headphones, which, you know, they've got the isolation headphones, and I could hear it. Yeah, I could hear the motors, I can hear the compressors, I hear all this other crap in the background, but it's just like your normal hearing as a human. You can hear the different things. You hear a bird from a dog. I mean, it's the same thing. You hear both of them, but you hear the difference. And that's why I said when I did the ultrasonic that, you know, you've got to learn your machine. It's not something you just pick up and it's just no big deal and you use it. It ain't how it works. H10, same way. Most people hated it, and that's how I ended up getting it, because people didn't want to learn it. So, you know, it's just one of them things. But I think what's great about the Stratus, you know, is, like I said, the parts per million. So you have a Schrader core. I've watched some guys go in there and literally take their hose and put the thing right down there. I mean, you're going to pick a leak up. Hello, that crap doesn't dissipate immediately. You know, and then, you know, but with this machine, you can sit there and hold it over it, and where most of them are going to lock out, this one here is going to sit there and continue to read, and it's going to slowly come back down if it's going to come down, or it just stays the same. And if it stays the same, obviously, because it's sitting there sucking the refrigerant in and through, it's going to dissipate. You know, it's going to either drop or it's going to stay there. So, I mean, for checking leaks like that, it does great on it. You know, they both have the manual mode and they have the pinpoint mode, which is the auto zeroing. But I like the fact you can turn them both off. The old Select had it too, but it didn't seem to work quite the way I thought it should work. You know, coming from the H10, I know what manual should be, and that's what I liked about it. What I love about the D-Tek 3 here is the price point. I mean, they're selling for around $450, $455. You know, as more of them come out and they get on Amazon, this or that, you know, they're going to drop in price. This here can do combustion. You can yank the cell out of it. You can change it to CO2. So you get 3 detectors in one. The Stratus, from what I was told on current production, has to be sent back to have the software flashed so that it can do the combustion. And another thing I noticed is they're saying that these will pick up ammonia, which I found that to be interesting because I didn't think these could do that. But you know, these things are 3 detectors in one. I mean, a CO2 detector in itself is about $500, $600, I think it is. These, all you got to do, and they're both the same, you hit the back on it, pop off the bottom, and here's your sensor, which it's in an aluminum body. You've got
right here.
Yeah, that one's really hard. You have to push hard on it. Yeah, don't.
It's not.
It's
I'm
the
gonna
same
hurt
thing.
myself.
It's the same thing. So it sucks it in on one side, out on the other, and then your battery. This is kind of cool.
Whoa, this is like, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing to this.
The battery is a little...
there's nothing to the battery either.
well, they're lithium-ion cells. That's the reason why.
That's
you can buy an
crazy.
extra battery pack, and they sell an external charger for it, and so you can have one charged up. But my God, if you're halfway responsible and keep your thing charged when it's starting to get low, you know, you won't need that stuff. And I mean, it's, you know, like I said, it's the same thing here with this one. I had to push really hard, but same sensor. And it's got the same battery. So, you know, you're basically, you know, what they explained to me, the reason why that thing is so expensive, the Stratus, and that display is super expensive, and that sampling rate and all that stuff, they spent a lot of time on that before they released it. That's the reason why they took longer. Is this the original one for this one?
You should look at, yes.
They spent a lot of time on it in development before they released it. That was the reason why they didn't want to have one of those weird issues where basically, yeah, this one's a little bit weird the way it fits in there. I think it's...
And Samuel was asking if it has a charging dock.
No, it just uses micro USB.
But I mean, they don't make a dock that you could like go thump.
They do. They do make one for the battery.
But that's extra.
Well, yeah, I mean, people bitch about the price no matter what. So, I mean, they got to keep the cost down. You know, we charge, I think, $5 or $10 for each leak check we do with the leak detector, which, you know, that provides us a new sensor every year, which these sensors are graded for, I think, 1,000 hours. So really, these aren't going to need it. But, you know, they pop back together that quick, and it's that simple. One thing you got to watch on the Stratus, I noticed they got a little port here that exhausts out the back. If you put your finger over it, it will false alarm. So you got to keep your hands down here where they want it at. The D-Tek 3 does not have that. So I don't think you're going to have any issues with that. They both have the headphone jack.
A silly design.
Well, you know, they can only squeeze so much in there. The wand's obviously removable. Let's see, what else was there? But you know, the Stratus comes with these fancy headphones with a volume control on it.
They don't look that fancy.
Yeah, well, they are what they are.
He's digging in the box of treasures.
For our international people out there, the charger comes with multiple different heads.
Ooh,
so
fancy.
you can, I forget how this one works.
Push the button. There you go.
You can pop it off and change it from 120 volt US type socket to, you know, whatever your country is. It's got all different wing wangle looking things. The Stratus actually comes with a, you know, one of these USB things you plug into your car's lighter adapter. I mean, they're $5, $10 tops.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they didn't come with the D-Tek 3, but, you know, hey, they're keeping the price down.
Cutbacks. You know, and some people really don't care about that kind of stuff because you already have it laying around anyways.
Here's the, you know, the filters. It only came with like 2, which, you know, I kept the extra ones from my old one when I sold that or sent it back. So, you know, I got to keep that. You know, those are some of the cool things about it. Like I said, I've been playing with this thing for a while, and I was really excited to talk to you guys about the D-Tek 3 just because of the price. I mean, $800 and $850. I mean, that's a lot of money. You know, it's going to be something that, you know, more of, you know, a specialty item. So, I mean, not everybody's going to go out and shell that kind of money out. But the $400 mark, that's pretty common, I think, nowadays. I mean, the filled piece is a little cheaper, but their infrared one, I think, is around 380, 390-ish area. True Tech Tools has got the D-Tek 3 listed. Amazon does not, and you got to watch Amazon sometimes. You know, you only got 30 days to return it, then you have to go on your own back to the manufacturer, which, you know, it just depends. Some manufacturers will void it if it's bought there, some won't. It just really depends. So there's full disclosure on that.
I do feel like your H10 is your true ride and die, it seems like.
Well, I mean, I've had it forever, but I mean, the thing that sucks on it is the battery. If it goes down, you're screwed. But
because that thing you have to plug into the wall to charge, right? Like it doesn't have like a USB charge.
No, that's an old
now,
brick style battery.
Do they have they updated the H10 where it is more in terms of charging? You know, because everything is about being efficient in terms of charging. Have they upgraded the H10 to where you can use USB style charging yet?
No, the Pro was their upgrade. They did that about I think 6 years ago. Essentially, it uses the same heated diode that they've used for 30 years. The improvement on it was the pump. I've tore both of them apart, the PM and the Pro. The Pro has a different kind of pump on it. It's a little more maintenance free. The other one had bellows. It looked like something you've seen from Hansel and Gretel that they used to make the fire more powerful.
And Curious knows all about Hansel and Gretel, don't you, Curious?
Yeah, he was in the fire there.
He was in an oven.
Yeah.
He was inside, crawled in the oven, inside the oven. You guys need to check out that video. I'm doing a little plug for him because I felt a whole little Hansel and Gretel vibe. Sorry.
Rad-Shack, Meshach, and Abednego in the oven.
But the oven wasn't on.
Yeah.
And it was just one person.
Yeah, a real technician would have went in there with it on.
Just Bill.
Yeah, just Bill. Burn his beard, get it well done.
Looking for candy or bread in this case.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet. It says it picks up all the ones that YF1234 thing. Supposedly it picks all that crap up. Let's see here. What about the amp probe there? But you know, the amp probe, I think if you look at that one, it looks just like, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that one looks just like the freaking field piece. What else do we got? But yeah, those are some of the things there. I'm kind of excited to do a video and kind of just show them both neck and neck because, like they said, they're both 0.03 ounces a year rating. The D-Tek Select was a 0.1, I think, and this is a 0.03, which, you know, it just depends. I mean, is it really going to find that kind of a leak? We're going to look at real life type situations, you know, with the wind blowing, with, you know, other things that are going to create distractions and things like that.
Nice. Thank you for that additional thought, Joe.
There was a fourth person in the furnace too. Yeah. Well, it probably might have been the Holy Spirit, but yeah. We don't want to flip all of our atheist friends out too much out there. We don't want to get into the Bible hour too much, but
it is Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we're keeping it holy here. So.
And I am wearing my leopard pants.
Yeah. Wonderful.
My leopard print pants to church because I played guitar today. Gotta pretend I'm a rock star.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I showed up 2 minutes late and everybody was already singing.
He missed my big rock star moment. And I always give him the stink eye when he comes in late because I can see him walking in the aisle. And I don't know if did you see me giving you the stink eye?
I just didn't look your way. It was easier that
you
way.
had the walk of shame and you knew I was watching you, didn't you?
I had my mask on. Nobody could see me. I was invisible.
I saw you.
I was invisible.
Mr. I'm always late to church.
Yeah, whatever. I'm running sound next month, so I'll be there at 7:30, 8 o'clock area. So, you know, whatever. So it'll be fine. But yeah, those are some of the two detectors there that, like I said, I'm kind of excited to show off. I'm pretty impressed with the D-Tek 3. I don't know, for some reason, even though, you know, it's not as fancy as the other one, it's no BS. It just gets to it and finds the leak. I only had a chance to use it once, and from what I've seen, it was very responsive. It was snappy. It picked up on it. You know, I compared it to the couple of the other ones there, and basically it was on par right with it. So I'm going to get some good footage before I do that. So, you know, don't worry. I'm not going to sell you a bill of sale if I think it's just, you know, I'll say, So, you know, I want to be respectful to them for at least sending it out, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you or anything like that. So you're going to get the honest opinion, and, you know, it's good stuff. So,
and any of you that know Rick know that, he never hides his true thoughts on anything. So, yeah. Residential wants you to come run sound at their church, please.
Wonderful.
That sounds like they've not got a very good sound guy.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it since I was 14. That's how I got into the DJing. So, you know, it's just one of them things. There's a lot to it. I mean, a lot of times it's getting them to spend the money on a good sound system, and, you know, there's a lot to it. And it's one of the most difficult things to try to make everybody happy. Everybody has an opinion on how loud it should be. Everybody has an opinion on what music you should play and all that other stuff. It just, you ain't going to win when you get that many people together at one time. So, but that's the leak detectors in a quick nutshell. If you guys have any questions on or whatever, you know, throw it in there real quick.
He's got the millennials running it. They've got the system. He's got the millennials.
I was the kid that got in trouble and was giving the old lady all kinds of hard times, and that's why they gave me the opportunity to do it, and it made me want to come. So it was a good backhanded trick to get me there, and, you know, it paid off well. I made a lot of money DJing for the 20 years that I did it. So, and I'm still doing it to give back. So, you know, it's good. I mean, it's one way to kind of get the kids involved and give them some responsibilities at the same time. So, but we get talking about that, it drops down to 54, you know, so.
Oh, well, we just, you know, can't have that.
That's wretched. That is just wretched. We can't have that. So that covers the detectors. we could go over the video just a touch there. The 25-ton unit, I'm really kind of curious. I mean, that thing has absolutely skyrocketed for me. It's, I think, at 27,000 views, and generally, for the longest time, I was somewhere around 4,000, 3,000, 2,000 views. That one went kazoom, and the one before it is at 13,000, which is great. But for some reason, it really drew the people in. So I'm trying to figure out, what it was that made people want to watch it more and for longer, because a lot of times that's what it comes down to is they judge you on not only the views, they judge you on the thumbs ups or downs. It don't really matter to them. They just want you to see the advertising dollars. I mean, honestly, that's how TV is. I mean, basically they sell the advertising, the things that goes on. Basically doesn't make them no money. It's the advertising and stuff that does. So, but yeah.
Rich says he loves the new condenser.
Which condenser did he get?
He's probably talking about, Rich, are you talking about his new condenser 2000 thing that he made? I'm wondering.
The subcooler?
The subcooler thing. And then Curious is really liking the shirt. So here, let's model that. Everybody, check that out. Yeah, I made that. That's some Cricut infusible ink. It was my first go round with infusible ink. Pretty happy with how it turned out.
So yeah, she did a really good job on that. And there's, we just kind of was going to make a few of them for some of the other guys that we've done the show with. A few of them aren't feeling very good. One got invaded by in-laws, so basically,
Sucks to be him.
Yeah, he's our one guy that actually was going to be here. Unfortunately, that was him texting in right there that the in-laws came over and wrecked his party. So, oh well,
when that happens,
not a big deal. I
You're
mean,
stuck with us.
Yeah, it's just us talking about dorky stuff, but it is what it is.
So Curious, what's interesting? So infusible ink, they only work on proprietary Cricut t-shirts, and the only color shirts you can get infusible ink shirts from Cricut in is white, and then like your traditional light, like medium heather, it's more of like a light heather gray, which is not very cool because you can't really do a whole lot with darker colors, and you can't use your infusible ink on other shirts because they don't work very well. So
that is a lot more detail than I think they really care for.
But Curious said he wanted to buy one if it was in a darker color.
You don't have to buy one. We're going to send him and Adam and
you're
Joe
getting your own
and Chris all their own, but it's just a matter of getting them somebody to freaking do it. But we got carpet put in this week. And the house was a total disaster, which is why the video didn't release on Thursday like I was hoping for, and I had to basically wait till Saturday. And I was hoping to have gotten it on Thursday, then I could have done another one for this Sunday, but it didn't work out. I've got a compressor change on that rack that I went out on. So we're going to be showing that and the diagnostics of it. We got some valve issues, so we're going to go and make that one. And I've got several other ones that had miscellaneous issues and things like that. So the one that I threw together real quick was that one that I released on Saturday, which was that freaking York there that snuck in the motor. And, that motor sounded like it was a little wacky. And as you've seen, they weren't calling us to come back and maintain it. Some new owners got it. Thank you, sir. Come again. So basically,
did you drink from the slushy machine?
No.
It probably wasn't clean, was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably had mold growing in it.
We talk not of that. We speak not of those who drink out of the slushy machine. So there's a reason why they weren't maintaining it, and then So anyhow, we went back, and that's when I caught that. So it's. We did get it, and as far as I know, of course, it's a weekend, and so we'll find out from the on-call guy whether or not we had any other issues over the weekend, but well, that'll be on Monday, and we'll save worrying about Monday for Monday. So that is one of them deals right there. So what else do we need to cover here? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I know some people asked about a float switch in that machine. When I showed the schematic, you'll see that it had the freeze stat, it had a high pressure, and then it had a loss of charge, which they'll put that on the discharge a lot of times because you'll sometimes have false alarms on the suction side, so they'll put it on the discharge side. So there was nothing shown for a float, and that thing is at least 10 to 15 years old. It's probably closer to 15 or more. And like I said, that's a wacky building because literally it's not heated with any type of heat. There's no heat in that York unit. And I highly doubt we put that economizer upgrade in it. So I have feelings that other people's been getting in there and fingering our unit. So yeah, it's hard to say. But yeah, that was an interesting one. And then the other one was, that happened on Friday when I changed that compressor. So I had to rush from that one over to the one that you've seen, and you've seen the storm going on and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Here, let's talk about this. This is a good...
Click it.
I'm clicking.
I have no idea. I'm not a York dealer. I don't like York. I mean, they're a division of Luxair or whatever, ain't they?
I don't feel like we have a lot of York in this area, do we?
The only York we got around here is some massive big chillers. Now that stuff, from what I'm hearing, I mean, they got inverter-driven condenser fan motors, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's a high dollar unit, and you only can do it with a laptop and some other stuff. So I mean, they do make some high-end stuff. It just, most of it I'm seeing is not, and I just don't like their logic. I don't like the way they do their pilot assemblies. I don't like how they do a lot of stuff. It just is so backwards and idiotic. I just don't like it.
And according to John, he's saying those blades are failing everywhere. So obviously there's some kind of a mold issue or something's
They
just
either
not
got
right.
vibration or they got cheap on the aluminum and it's flinging apart. I mean, we're supposed to be checking those, which I know we tend to forget sometimes to look at it, but that's part of inspecting it when it's sitting there and it's off.
You ready for question number 2?
Sure.
Do you ever get calls for pneumatic systems?
I have one over in a town on a bank, and it is got zone valves that are pneumatic, and it's got basically it's an air handler with a remote AC coil, and it's a split AC unit. I think it's about a 7.5 ton or something like that. It looks bigger than what it really is. And then they got a boiler on it. And it's got pneumatics. I have not got a lot of experience with it. I mean, essentially that's where your ultrasonic's going to come in handy because you're going to be able to hear those leaks. Because I mean, that's the biggest thing. A lot of times from what I've heard that, the air leaks, you lose your vacuum and it can't actuate the switches to turn things on and off. And I mean, it's definitely a old technology that, those guys are dying off, and either it gets ripped out and transferred over or whatever. So
I like Residential's suggestion. It's always the TXV's fault. Let's go with that.
Sure, why not?
It looks like Mr. Ice wants to know, is there a chart for blade pitch to RPM that people use?
Chart. I mean, what we've always done is if you take it into the supply house, they'll figure out the pitch. They've got like a little device you put on the blade, and then you try to find out your diameter and the pitch, and then whatever the shaft size of the motor is.
So ask Google.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, the chance of them having it in stock slim. That's why a lot of times, if you can, they'll just buy it from the factory, or if something's better than nothing. That was the issue with the call that you're going to see the next one I release. Is I had like 325 to 340 pounds of head on a 404 system on a walk-in freezer, but the fan blade, something was wrong with it, and it has almost 2 inches of gap around the shroud that's not getting air movement. So, and the sight glass was not 100% full. The unit wouldn't pump down all the way. It's a real fluster mess. So I'm kind of curious whether or not I'm going to just show and condemn the unit and then show the repair, or if I'm gonna do it in 2 pieces. I guess it really depends on how much footage I've got there. Sometimes you don't think you hardly got anything, and the next thing you know, you got 40 some minutes or more. So that was kind of an interesting one. So
Curious that he got a sneaky peek. And
sneak preview. Yeah, you did see a little bit of that.
He thinks it'll be a good one.
The semi-hermetic compressor.
So, Kyle, he's got 2 questions. He wants to know, did you ever figure out what was up with the Bosch? So you do need to give a Bosch update since it's no longer, what do we want to call it?
In the witness protection program?
In the unit protection program. And he also wants to know if you've had any interesting generator work lately.
No. Generators, I try to avoid it just because we're not, either get in or get out. One of the worst things a company can do is try to do 50 freaking things. because you never really get super great at it. And if you don't do it often, you're going to forget. And so we piddle with generators. The previous company I was with, we sold the crap out of them. So, we might put in 1 a day or 2 a day, or whatever. And here we're not doing nowhere near that amount of volume. We, focus on, more of the heating and stuff like that and cooling. But so I'm not seeing near as many. I did get called out on a bridge in Stratton, which I told the people, look, trying to get support help since I'm not certified by them is going to be crap. So no, I'm not running in much of the generator stuff. I mean, I really liked it when I was just doing residential and I wanted something, more challenging and stuff like that to keep me occupied. Now that I've got so many other things going on with the ice cream and the food equipment and heating and air and all the other stuff that I do, and then the commercial, as far as like the supermarket stuff, I got plenty on my plate. So I'm not as interested no more in those. I mean, I can do them, but they train you on just looking from the book. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to fix a furnace out of a book, but that's how the generators are. They literally want you to go through step by step and find it that way, which, if you got a customer that, you feel embarrassed to talk, to look at the book, I just tell them flat out, look, you think this is crazy, but they literally want us to do it. If they want us to warranty it, I have to show step by step what I did to get warranty. That way the customer doesn't think you're a total rookie or you have no clue what you're doing. So that's a little hint there that I'm throw out there for the new guys, whatever it is you're working on. You could always say that, you have to diagnose it a certain way and notate how you got to it.
Randy, I hope Luke is listening. That's for Luke.
Yeah, our dogs would have went nuts and attacked the TV when we did that, because I know somebody else that kept doing that.
Bill. Mm-hmm. So here's another question. He wants to know, what do you like working on the most? Resi, commercial, refrigeration, restaurants?
I would say refrigeration is my favorite. I've always liked the science behind refrigeration and air conditioning, because, it's warm summertime compared to winter. You're out there in your t-shirt and doing your thing and you're warm. It's just everything's better when it's a little warm versus freaking bundled up and stuff like that, freezing your butt off on a freaking roof or something. So, it's just one of them things there. Let's finish up. And so that's one of the things I like the most. Survey says.
Just hold on, I'm getting
You're slacking there, bud.
Dude.
You stopped me like you're ready to do something, like Johnny on the spot, and you are slacking. Slacking.
You ready?
Come on, Greenhorn, let's go.
I'm going to hit the button. Oh, I got it. Let me undo this first.
Yeah, hide it.
I'm hitting the button.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the 7th member of the Village People.
Good
Hi,
God, it's an Adam. What's up, dog?
And now, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
man, you
Whoopsie.
are failing. I'm taking back your money.
sorry.
I've had enough of it.
Better late than never.
What's that?
Better late than never.
Hey, it's all good, man. I stuttered through 45 minutes, no problem at all. We
you
talked
know,
about
Rick,
the.
Didn't have a problem talking.
I literally can talk to myself nonstop. It's not a big deal.
Okay, Bosch update. We forgot to
Bosch.
talk about it.
Okay, on the Bosch, basically take everything you know about CFM and airflow and just flush it down the toilet, because that's a 3-ton unit, and you would think that you would set it up for 3 tons of cooling.
It's crazy talk.
You would think 350 or 325 CFM per ton would be like really getting in the carrier zone there. No. I am running it as absolutely slow as what I can go. I literally am in the dehumidification mode whenever and we switched the thermostat. We got rid of our core 7 stat, or our core, it was the top end core stat, which is Carrier's, poor man's infinity thing. Basically, what I did is I made it so that the thing ran, where you got your adjustment and your ECM blower and you go to the negative. I got it literally running at under the normal call Y1, and I took this single stage variable speed capacity heat pump and utilized the 2 stages of the thermostat. So the first stage starts out at like 600 or 700 CFM, 720 CFM. But if the humidity is over 55, which is adjustable, it will dehumidify, which is reduction of 30%. So now I'm running somewhere in the 550, 600 CFM total. total on this 3-ton unit. The problem we was running into, basically the unit takes 20 minutes before it even ramps up to its full speed. And the thing has its own little algorithm. So we literally took the thermostat and we put it down to 1 cycle per hour, and then slowed the blower down as slow as what we're doing, which, you know, that's just breaks all the rules. The problem here is, and the whole reason why this is an issue, is because there's no communication from the inside to the outside. But now that I've done that, you know, it works great. It works fine. They're holding under the magic 60%, which heck, I didn't even know what the normal was because my house runs in the mid 40% range, and I've got a generic single stage 12 SEER Ducane heat pump with a Lennox 93% efficient 2-stage gas furnace. So, I mean, with a carrier stat, or now, yeah, it's still a carrier stat. So, you know, I'm a whore. I basically went with the best value for whatever it was. I mean, so, but, you know, after we changed that TXV, we ended up, they sent me an adjustable TXV, and I ended up not even having to adjust it. So first thing first, we got the high super, or the low superheat taken care of. So now we was maintaining at least 9 to 12-ish area. So under all different loads, that thing did great. So we protect the compressor now. And however, they claimed, because they claimed it had 2 accumulators. I only seen 1, but who knows, whatever. So they claimed that we weren't really slugging it, even though we had 0 to no superheat. So we got that fixed. And then if it's not keeping up, I put like a 3-degree lag behind, and then it'll go to the second stage, which is going to increase our fan speed. You know, the capacity to cool the house was never a problem. It cooled the house. We just couldn't dehumidify. So, you know, we're kind of weighing the option between there, whereas, you know, we're going to dehumidify almost all the time. And then when it gets too warm by about a 3-degree lag, and that's adjustable, then it would speed the blower up. And now we're able to get the house under control and keep the temperature there. And then once that's satisfied, it would slowly backstage back down, and it would go back to that super, super low fan speed. I bought some little CPS data loggers. They're like $59. It's cool. I stuck one in the ductwork, and I stuck one in the return, and turned it on to sample every 2 minutes. You know, Jim Bergman is the man. I mean, he literally got in contact with the Bosch rep who provides the Bosch equipment for my supplier. And those two met up, and he took it up there to Cleveland, and they put it in his shop, and he ran that thing all freaking...
He beat that
He
up.
beat the living snot out of it. And, you know, he put it on the Measure Quick app and just, you know, watched everything that was going on. He figured out the algorithm, all that.
He was totally nerding out and sending Rick all these text messages and
Yeah, it'd be 10:30 at night.
screenshots all the time. Like, it was so hilarious. Like, it's like
10:30
they
at
had
night, man. Hey,
like
did
a
you
little
do this?
romance going on over the Bosch unit. It was so funny.
But he enjoys it, and that's what's awesome
does.
about it. Because, I mean, he just, you know, he really was involved in it, and thank God, because, you know, he really has a vested interest in it. He just really enjoys it. And he had already done some work with that, because for whatever reason, the numbers were not hitting what Bosch was claiming. And so he had to do some modifications to the Measure Quick app for it. I don't know what all that entailed, but all said and done, everything's under control. The in-laws are taken care of. And, you know, I asked him about giving me a deal. So, I mean, they offered me $250 a piece off the normal price. So they'd knock $500 off if I wanted to go with it. But I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to or not. We're a carrier dealer. So, I mean, I can get the Infinity stuff below dealer cost if it's for my house. So I know one of our guys, he put a bid in for it and got the absolute best of everything. And I think May had, I don't know if it was $4,000 total and everything. And that was an Infinity furnace, Infinity thermostat, the green speed heat pump. Because, you know, I'm out in the country. I've got propane. You know, we don't have natural gas out where I'm at. And generally that's why, like, most of the things I service is geothermals, because, you know, they're all out in the country also. So either you're going LP gas or you're going electric, dual fuel, you know, whatever. So, you know, all said and done, you know, I'm still like, man, do I go with the Bosch one, even though we got it under control, or do I go with the carrier, because I know they've got their technology figured out, and I love the Infinity control. I mean, the thing data logs everything. It goes wrong, it tells you what time it did it. You can figure it out. It's brain dead with that thing. So
one of the guys is asking if dehumidification is just regulated by the CFM then.
Yeah, I mean, you slow down the coil, and here's the brain dead simple way of explaining it. You slow down the fan speed, the coil's going to sweat more. The more it sweats, the more humidity it's pulling out of the air because it's in the drain, and now it's going away. So, I mean, that's.
But the issue is with the Bosch on their the 1.0 that you installed.
Yeah.
The Bosch doesn't. It's not necessarily regulating the outdoor unit, right? That's the problem.
It regulates the outside unit, doesn't do nothing on the inside.
So yeah, they're not talking. If the outdoor unit is slowing down or speeding up, the indoor fan motor is not necessarily matching it.
Correct.
When you, by all rights, to dehumidify, you should be ramping up the outdoor unit and slowing down the indoor unit. Right?
Correct. And that's the reason why with that unit, it had to run at least 20 minutes before it would even get the compressor up to full speed. It started out super flipping slow. And, you know, in their numbers, I mean, they give you no information. That was the thing that ticked me off the most. It's like, you know, they're telling me it runs at this frequency. And I'm like, okay, I have a Fluke amp clamp that can read the freaking frequency, and it's not running 60 and 70 hertz. It's running 120 hertz. And I believe it because I've put it up against freak drives that are running all kinds of weird crap, and it reads it. So, you know, they don't even understand their product. They're not releasing all the details. And it's like, you know, Carrier overwhelms you with all their information, and they don't. You know, that's what irritated me the most is they wanted to play like, you know, either they didn't know, you know, I came in there with all the information and they just acted like, okay, let's read from the script here. And that just pissed me off. I hate that.
I think a big portion of that is probably that it's Chinese made, right? And Chinese designed, and they have a third party, like not necessarily a distributor, but a rep. There's a rep that's handling it.
That's who I dealt with was a rep.
Right. You're not dealing with Bosch or Medea, right? I
had the Bosch trainer. He's out west somewhere. I have his cell phone. Fred.
He was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Fred's his name.
But they're not, it's not like they're like, it's Medea, right?
Medea made, well, the 1.0 was the compressor and board, both are made by Mitsubishi. The 2.0 is made by Medea, the compressor and the board, because of the train buyout of Mitsubishi was the reason why they did that.
Are you talking about like Medea, the crazy Aunt Medea?
It's a manufacturer. I never heard of it prior to.
Every time you say Medea, I always think of Medea and all those movies.
It looks just like a Maristar.
Does it?
It's like a brown Maristar.
And they're also dang close to each other, just like Temp Star and a few others. I mean, Carrier flipped their name on. I mean, look at the Climate Masters. I mean, that's what Carrier was claiming was theirs for the longest time until they finally, you know, bought out Florida Heat Pump and put their name on that one. So, yeah. They just put whoever's name. But yeah, that was my biggest complaint was no communication between the inside and outside and no real good documentation. I mean, when you're sitting there trying to talk to him and you're trying to prove to him that you came in there with the knowledge and that you've got, you know, your superheat meth, you know, all your CFMs, and I've got my duct layout and I've got everything in front of me and I'm ready to give it to you. You would think they would respect that and be like, oh, okay, here's what's wrong. And it just, no, that ain't what happened.
Treat you like you're ignorant.
Shannon is saying something interesting. He was saying that it's supposed to maintain 45 degrees of saturation at all time with the indoor coil, which in my opinion is actually...
Or 37. 47 or 37, depending on what you set the switch to -4 at.
45. I was going to say 45 is a little rich in my book in some circumstances, especially if you're trying to dehumidify, right?
Well, if you go colder, it's going to make it sweat more. So, I mean, that's what they did. We ran it on the 37 degree, but even when I sat there and watched it, it wasn't always hitting 37 degrees, you know, so it didn't even do what it was supposed to do. And if you go through there, you can scroll through the display and see what the transducers and thermistors are seeing and compare it to your gauges. And, you know, I mean, it gets there sorta eventually, but not real quickly. And it dinks around. I mean, it can run as slow as 6,000 or 9,000 BTU. So, I mean, it's like heating your house with a hairdryer, but, you know, trying to cool it with something like a hairdryer. You know, it's not even equivalent to a window unit.
I think it would be really interesting to get somebody that has a lot of experience in Bosch and have him come on your show, like in a week or two, like Raritan. I mean, I think Raritan said how many, he did like 8 of them or something. I was reading him.
He had 8 or 9 of them, and, you know, and only a couple of them had complained. Now, Jim he was a student back in the day, and this guy lives down in Florida now, and supposedly he's a guru on a Bosch, and he literally conference called me in with this guy, And we talked about what he's doing down there in Florida. Because, I mean, if you want to talk about humidity, freaking Florida, I mean, it's nothing but a freaking sauna down there. I mean, I remember driving down there when I turned 19, and me and my best friend took a motorhome down there. And, you know, we were in the motorhome nonstop for 19 hours. And then all of a sudden we get out, and I'm like, boom. I felt like somebody had just like threw us in a sauna. I couldn't believe it. The humidity sucked. So, you know,
So what was his advice to you?
You know, it's been a few weeks ago, or almost a month and a half ago.
I think that would be a good homework assignment for you. So
Yeah,
if you
because I kind
can
of forgot.
connect with him.
You got to remember, I'm sitting there trying to run my regular calls and then squeeze this in between it. It was, you know, it was kind of the same thing. I mean, you kept hearing the same thing. I mean, you got to make the thing run longer. They didn't like the core stat because they didn't know it. They never had no experience with it, so they kept dissing it. And it's like, that's $240 some thermostat my cost. And so they ended up giving me a Honeywell like IAQ type stat that had 4 dry contacts in it that I could program to do whatever I wanted, and it had duct sensors. It's pretty badass. I really like it. And it literally will data log what the system's running in. You can put tolerances in there, what it's doing, so it can give you a call and everything. So all those things we did basically kind of fixed up our issues, and I didn't have no more issues with it.
And now I feel like we're creeping because we can still like remotely from our phones look at my parents' thermostat and see what's going on. And I feel kind of dirty doing that.
I do that with a couple of my customers.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, here we go. So we can mess with their thermostat.
It's connecting.
We can make my mom think she's going into menopause all over
So
again.
right now we're at 56 is the indoor humidity, and outdoor humidity is 59%, and it's 68 degrees outside. So right here in my area, and that's what's cool. This new stat came with wireless. It's red link. 59% by humidity outside, and even at 68 degrees.
So being that there's no load on the house right now, is that higher?
That's what
humidity
killed
than
us.
you normally see?
In the evening, what killed us was because they were taking it down to 68 and 66 degrees just to make it run, so they could try to get rid of the freaking humidity. Yeah. So, I mean, they were running at stupid temperatures. Now they're running at 72 to 74, 72, 73-ish area.
On a slight change of subject, I was offered to go on a call with engineers from Amana this past week,
Ooh.
and they wanted to know like any complaints, ideas, anything, whatever. And 2 things I'd like to update everyone on. I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised on. They just bought a $350,000 3D printer because my first complaint was your condensers are garbage. I want to be nice about it. I just told them, like, to be blunt, they're junk, right? Like, you cannot nicely take off the panels and put them on like easily, especially if you go to like 2-stage 16 SEER or larger, the larger units. You basically need 2 people to do it. I said it's a joke compared to every other manufacturer. So they said they're going to start 3D printing new models, and next year they're in development of a new condenser.
Wow.
I also told them I don't like how they put the filter dryer at the bottom of the unit. I think it's freaking ridiculous service wise. I said, why don't you just strap it onto the unit where we could install it? And I heard the whole spiel about blah blah
People
blah.
won't do it.
They won't do it. They throw it in the garbage. It's like, well, maybe you're selling to the wrong contractors then. I don't know. But anyways, on another side note, they're 95% furnaces. My complaint is their coils, the drain for the coil comes out directly behind the exhaust on the furnace, on their upflow furnaces. And then also the knuckles for the coil come out right behind it as well. And he said the new coils, they're coming out with center taps on them. So it'll come
Wow, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Everyone else gets away with it. I mean, Linux does it on the sides, and freaking Carrier does.
So yeah, that's
So they basically put their draft motor in a funky spot. Can you, when we sell Amana here, it's kind of like the lower end stuff. I mean, around here, Duquesne, Amana, Armstrong, Rude Ream, they're all sold out of. Now Linux is, you're got to be an independent dealer on that. But this one particular place sells all that. Now, so I mean, it's not like as hard as it is to get, like, say, a Bryant dealership or something like that, or even the Linux. I mean, Linux used to be good back in the day, but so anyhow, can you not take the draft motor and turn it so that you can go out left or right on an upflow application?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think you could do that. See, the one difference between I know like Train and that Train's like intake is right directly centered, so their knuckles for the coil is offset. You have room to make a connection on it. Amana, not so much. But they are. I know a lot of people are saying, Amana's junk. It's good. I mean, it's the same thing. Blah blah blah. They have been making a lot of improvements. Their Comfort Bridge furnace is badass. How you could do updates and change all the settings. There's no dip switches. You do everything from your phone. You use a 24-volt single-stage cool, one heat, one cool thermostat for up to a 2-stage heat pump or 2-stage furnace, whatever. And everything is based off of what you set up on your phone. 2 wires run into the condenser. They are coming out with first quarter of next year. They've already been in beta testing for a long time, but to set up temporize on your furnace, they're coming out with a supply and return sensor that plugs right into the circuit board that will adjust the airflow based on temperature rise, which is a badass.
That's fancy.
It'll make up for crappy ductwork and people that don't check the crap. I mean, the technology's there. I mean, it's just a matter of getting the people to hook it up. I mean, look at all the Climate Masters where they had the remote sensor for a split geothermal. I mean, how many people hooked up the sensor to the evaporator when it was a remote? Nobody usually did. The purple one, you know what I'm talking about? Because I see you do some Climate Master stuff, don't you? So, and they never got hooked up around here. So, but it goes back to how much you do of it. I mean, my previous employer, we didn't hardly do any geothermal. Here, I freaking do a crap load of it. So, yeah. That's interesting.
It's not a wireless condenser. It's a 2-wire condenser, but it's actually sending back and forth like data instead of.
So it's data. It's not just an open close switch.
Right. The thing is, though, they have a transformer in their condenser. So that's what's their transformer in their condenser, the 24-volt, which gives the board 24 volts all the time. And then the 2 wires running back and forth is your data.
Which Carrier's been doing that for years. I mean, they've got one out there too, but they usually do it 3 wires. But really, data is on just 2 wires, and then for some reason they had that 3rd wire was used for something, but you didn't use the R terminal. I don't know if the comma was used for some maybe possible grounding to keep interference out. I don't remember. So
Chico asked about if you would consider making an H10 leak detector video.
I can.
That might be interesting. Just going through some of the comments. Someone asked about if you did anything with the ductwork.
Far as well,
Which you didn't do anything with my parents' ductwork. So
no, and everything was brand new. I mean, I had the previous guy I used to work with. It was our sales guy that knew how to lay out ductwork, which I can do, but I'm not real great at it. I mean, obviously, you just use a duct calculator and work your way back. I mean, it's not rocket science, but I let him do it. That way, he had more experience with it. I know my limitations. The only thing is I didn't insulate it and I did not seal it. I don't believe in the sealing. I think that's a bunch of horse shit. And I've always been one for letting it leakage into the crawl space to help keep the pipes from freezing. All this depends on where you live at. You live in freaking Florida where the humidity is crazy high and it's going to sweat to high hell and back, then yeah, you're going to want to insulate the duct. Like around here, we have basements and crawl spaces. Down there, it sounds like everything's in a freaking attic. So, I mean, it's just, it really depends on where you live at, on what you do. I mean, yeah, the right thing would be seal it all up, use mastic, and then freaking wrap it and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to do the job to begin with.
I think it depends on where all the ductwork is, too. Is it in an attic, a hot and humid attic, And you could actually, if you're really getting down and dirty with diagnosing things, like in your return, you could check what the humidity is in the house and then check it at the unit, at the furnace or the air handler, and see if it increases. If it's running through an unconditioned space, then you could check it, and you could actually and you could check the temperature as well too, and see, how much.
And this was such a simple install. I mean, literally, Bergman had me use 3 sensors. I put because basically what it was is you got the furnace in the hallway. It came in with, I think, an 18-inch flex up to the attic, goes over about 10 foot, not even probably that, maybe 8 foot, comes down and puts a central return in the hallway. I offered to, I told them, look, as long as you guys keep all the doors open, you'll be fine, but you close them and you're going to have cold room, hot rooms. They didn't care because they don't keep the doors shut, so it's just them 2 living there now. The kids are all gone, obviously, because I got one of them. So, you know, they didn't care, and it made my job easier because, I mean, I tried hiring some people to do the work, and I'm like, charge them what you want, you know? If you want to charge them $2,000 for labor, whatever, I don't care. Just do it. I don't want to do it. I'm too busy. I'm a service guy. I'm not an installer. I can install. I don't like installing. You know, some of the things I don't like: plumbing. I don't like installation. And I'm kind of, you know, I don't really care for residential as much anymore. So, I mean, those are the three things that I try to stay away from. But, you know, we had literally the sensors on both sides of the furnace, so that if there was disturbances, because, I mean, they came up with so much crap to pull out of their butt to blame crap on. We put one on both sides of the blower, and we put one on the return on the entry to in the hallway, and there was like a 0.5 degree to 0.7 degree difference, and the humidity was 1 or 2% difference. So we weren't gaining no heat in the attic, and I eliminated all that crap. I mean, like I told them, I said, I'm not an idiot here. You know, we ain't talking about the usual, it's not fast enough, not slow enough, it ain't insulated, blah, blah, blah. I'd already done covered that. There's a reason why I'm having an issue here, because I've already covered all the things, and now I've ran out of options. Because logic says you should run this many CFMs for this many tons, and that don't work with that unit.
Now, he did have to crawl in there and put a dehumidifier.
Yeah, I mean, we just put a regular residential humidifier in the crawl space, just extra precautionary.
And a garden hose
You know,
to the sump.
Going on, I don't know how many years it is now, 2 or 3 years ago, I flipped a house with a friend of mine, and it was on a crawl space. The crawl space sucked. It was like full of water, like tons of water. What we ended up doing was, like, we gutted the whole house. Everything was new in the entire house. We dug down. I didn't dig down. I two things I don't like doing is digging and roofing. So we paid somebody to dig down, do a drain tile all the way around, backfill everything back in, install a sump pump, and then they put that real thick mill plastic up the walls and basically taped it all so it's like one piece, air sealed all the way up. They did spray foam and on the rim joists all the way down the exterior walls. We eliminated all the vents for the crawl space, but by eliminating the vents, what the inspectors wanted was they wanted one supply and one return in the crawl space.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, and see this place here, and because you know I haven't done a lot with crawl spaces, but as far as like having issues like this, but all of the vents were open. And I didn't put that together, so that was a screw up on my part. So we closed all the vents. The crawl space had been redone, so it had down the heavy mill plastic all the way across the stone, which they had nice stone down there, all the way up the wall. And then in the joist pockets was the foam spray. So it was really well insulated. You know, that's another reason why I didn't think it was a big deal to not have it insulated as far as the ductwork and stuff like that. But, you know, before, when I went over there and I saw all these issues, I put my face down there and I could feel the breeze coming from the other side of the house blowing through, because they had like probably 6 vents that were open that are, 10-inch or whatever. That was a screw up on me. But even closing those by themselves didn't fix the issue. It took all the other things as far as slowing down the fan speed.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the end there, I couldn't get the dehum switch, which gives you your 30% reduction. I couldn't get that to work correctly. And I don't know if it was because I trimmed one of the wrong jumpers on the board, but eventually I sat there and I said, look, I'm just going to play with this with jumpers and figure it out. I said, I'll speed up the CFM, slow it down. Maybe I'm already as low as it can go, and maybe that's why it's not changing. Eventually I figured it out with just using jumpers and applying power, killing power, and eventually figured it out and got it to work the way it needs to. But it came down to basically energizing O or not on the board, which was kind of weird. So usually with the Linux and stuff, you got to watch that and you got to trim it. Otherwise it tends to backfeed into the heat pump, and then you run the heat pump and air conditioning while the electric strips are running. I've seen that happen before.
See, that's with actually train furnaces. I'm not sure on the S9 V2s and the S9 X2s, X1s, whatever they are. I can't remember the models now, but on like the TUH2 furnaces, the XV95s, if you wanted to run a furnace with the air conditioner in enhanced mode, or American Standard says Comfort R, you need to flip on dip switch 5 and 6, and you need a jumper between Y and O, or R and O. You need power at O during air conditioning in order for the proper ramp to get the enhanced mode to work during air conditioning.
So they're actually not using the blower, just, okay, Y1 is always this CFM, whether it's in heat or cool. They're literally determining it. So they're really giving you 4 speeds instead of just 2, high and low. They're actually giving you high and low heating, high and low cooling,
Well,
based off of the
they're
OS
giving you
terminal.
more than high and low cooling because of enhanced mode. So I believe it. I'm probably wrong now. It's been a long time since I've set up one of those a 40-inch furnace, but I think it's 4 speeds. I think it starts off for like 6 minutes in 1 speed, ramps up to 80%, and then goes to 100%, and then I think it will start ramping down again or something like that. It's either 3 or 4 speeds or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like that's even this Duquesne, because Duquesne is owned by Allied Air and Linux is owned by Allied Air, and they're using the same freaking board. It starts out at like 70% of the total CFM it's made for so many minutes. Then it goes to maybe 80 or 90 and eventually 100%. And it's kind of a generic way to try to get extra dehumidification. I think he called it passive dehumidification or something like that, versus the active using the dehumidification terminal to slow it down an extra 30%. But see, that's what happens with me getting into the refrigeration stuff and things like that, is I start falling behind on all the new technologies and stuff. That's where, who was it? I think it might have been, it was HVAC Know-It-All. So it did a little short tidbit on knowing everything, and they were talking about jobs and things like that, and the guy wanted him to be able to do all these other different things. And I finally found out, you cannot do everything and be great at all of it. It's just, there's too much stuff out there.
Technology changes. I mean,
Yeah.
I've noticed, I used to take classes on train yearly, right? And after a while, like, you might not catch everything on every class. So maybe the next year you learn a little bit more, whatever. And I knew train after a while, like inside and out. And then as I owned my own company and I stopped taking classes because I'm just busy, and you're like, all right, I already know this stuff. They started changing things more. And then you don't necessarily know what they're changing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to, they're like, well, read the manual. And it's when you've installed a train furnace, like, 2,000 times, it's hard to stop and say, I'm going to stop and read this manual right now. You know what I mean? So you have to do it where they have the circuit boards in that, where you got to set up the circuit boards, the communicating furnaces or whatnot. But like the little nuances, like jumpers at the circuit board, you need a jumper between whatever, it's hard to do that.
Yeah. Or when they show the little black mark, is that on or is it off? I mean, very few of them tell you exactly what it is. So you got to look at the default and figure that out. Sometimes that'll screw with me, because it's like, okay, is that on or is that off? You may completely do it wrong. But yeah, it's the same thing with the carrier. I mean, because I may do residential all day. We hired some extra people, so I'm not doing as much as I was, but I might be on that. Or it also depends on, because our company's got multiple branches. I take care of the ones that are close to our office, so I may be doing it, all those calls, just because I'm the main guy for the residential in our area. So I may be doing that, and then boom, over doing an ice cream machine, then an ice machine, then freaking some big old freaking whatever, and then back to another residential. I mean, it's all over the place sometimes.
I don't get involved with nearly that amount of stuff, but I probably do more boiler work than you. You deal with some boilers though.
Oh yeah, we got hot water, and then like I said, that one athletic place has got steam, and at the one place, and they have hot water on the other. And the steam, I mean, by nature, our company, before we combined with all these other ones, 10 plus years ago, we were refrigeration. We didn't do a bunch of steam, and so when I started having some issues with this stuff that was from like 50, 60 years ago, I wasn't getting good answers. So it was like, okay, but we've got a good network to where we got people we can get a hold of that may not even be around here that can come in and help us with it, because, we run into, these things had headers that were this big around. I mean, I would just throw together a video of all the stray ends and odds crap that I've done. That's like, there's no real point to use it for anything other than here's some shit I work on. So, but yeah. But we do a little everything. I mean, where I was at before, I did plumbing too. I mean, I changed toilets and, ran water lines and changed water heaters, and then helped install generators, and then I might help wire a whole new house. And, we did everything. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, we just did everything.
I don't know what that means. John is asking if you're an MCOR company.
MCOR.
I don't know what MCOR is.
Is that an abbreviation for something?
I'm sure you could make something up.
I mean, we're a privately owned company, locally owned. We're not like, like no franchise or nothing like that. We got about 100, we got at least 100 employees. Are you a company owner too? No, I'm not. No, I'm just a
He's
service
just
guy.
a low life service man.
I'm a scumbag freaking service technician.
So, Rick, I wanted to toss this out there to you and see what you thought about this. I ran it past Gil and I ran it past the other guys as well too. I have an idea for a new segment or bit on our show.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was thinking, I don't know if we're going to do it live. My first thought was to post, like, either start off with our installs, like mine and probably mine, Joe. I don't think Bill does many installs. Chris doesn't do as many, but we could do any of our installs and post it. I was going to say live on the uncensored Facebook group, and then say, I had this idea today or the other day, and I posted a picture of mine, and I was kind of cringing at the picture because there's a couple things I'm like, I know they're going to.
Is that the one you said tear it
Dude,
apart?
They roasted you.
I know, but listen, the idea is we do it with ours, and then we also ask people to send in pictures, and then have people pick it apart online, and then talk about what they're having issues with live on YouTube. And to, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, this is a very good point. That's a great idea, thought process behind it, or be like, are you serious? Whatever. And actually have a discussion about what people have issues with on installs.
Yeah, because I mean, one thing I noticed is like code differences from one area to the other. Like around here, we don't really have an electrical inspector. We have no HVAC inspections at all around here. So, I mean, there's like, you're going to find so many things different from where you're at. But it's to a point that's kind of good because if you can handle all the criticism, it may not be all bad, but there's so many assholes out there.
See, and that's the
finds
thing.
everything
And
wrong.
that was my point.
You have to have a way to moderate it. That's the issue.
Well, I think we could discuss which comments we wanted to talk about on the show. Like, that's why I wanted to do it in. I think the Overtime Facebook group, they're all a bunch of gentlemen and gentle ladies in there. They're very nice, considerate of others, but Uncensored Nation, you better watch your ass in that group. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I didn't post any more videos in HVAC Hub. I mean, I put one in there and it's like, okay, I'm going to stick with HVAC School or Uncensored. Uncensored, I haven't had no issues. It's just like, I wonder, it's almost like people think that I'm posting these videos to say I'm a God's creation or God's gift to the world. And it's like, hell no, I'm not. I'm posting these because a lot of assholes out there don't want to help the young guys out. And I kind of enjoy doing it, so I do it. And, eventually, it may become popular finally, But other than that, I mean, just some of them just are total douchebags that just want to just tear into you. And it's like, are we in high school still or what? So
I do think it's a good idea.
I think it would be entertaining. Honestly, like, I have a thick skin. I can give a crap what people, people are like, oh, well, I mean, some of the people that were saying stuff to me today, they were like, oh, I'm a freaking weekend warrior too. It's like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
You can text me that when I'm sitting on my boat and I'm a weekend warrior. All right. Thank you. Anyway.
Well, the biggest thing for me is trying, if you get enough of them, there's more of them than there is of you. So to reply to defend why you did what you did sometimes becomes overwhelming because it takes so much to try to explain it all to them.
Well, that was my point, though, not to respond in Uncensored Nation and to do it on YouTube to a different audience and to bring up, like, if somebody's saying, hey, this is an issue, like, you're completely right. You're absolutely right. That was a corner that was cut, blah, blah, blah. And just go through one by one, like the relevant stuff. Some people are like, the stupidest questions, answers, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten some crazy questions and I had to ask the person, are you in the United States and are you even in the field? Because some of the questions are like, okay, yeah, you might be new, but I thought my school wasn't that good. I'm thinking, holy crap. I mean, there were some things that's just like, I didn't know if he was messing with me or what. And he just happened to be newer and just didn't, he hadn't seen flare dryers before. So, I mean, in, 410A systems, you're not going to see flare dryers very often, but in refrigeration, it's still prominent. So, HVACR novice inspection question you had there. It depends on the commercial stuff. And see, I don't do install. I do the startups. I'll do the service of it. Like on the new stuff we'll be doing, that's going to be drawn up by a architect, and it's going to have to be, inspected by the architect and all that stuff. I don't really see all those things that happen. I mean, we are out in kind of the middle of nowhere. We do stuff in town and stuff here and there, but I would say, as far as the commercial stuff, yeah, that might get covered under some blanket of other things. Like we have obviously plumbing inspections, but as far as a dedicated, now there's like a town north of me that literally that's smaller than my town, but yet they have somebody to inspect it. So, I mean, that can be a two-edged sword because you get some guy that just, learned how to do the inspection crap out of a book and doesn't have no practical knowledge because this is his first starting job working for the state or the county or whatever. And it's just a stepping stone and you don't have a clue what he's talking about. So, and then you have to explain everything to him. So luckily we don't really have a lot of that, but as far as the commercial stuff, I mean, the electrical and stuff like that, yeah, that's, I know has to be inspected, especially when you're talking industrial and things like that we do. But, I'm not in on a lot of that stuff. I'm not, involved with that. So I don't really know all the ins and outs that we do on that.
Mohammed Ricci says, if you speed up the outdoor unit, I just lost it. If you speed up the outdoor unit and slow down the indoor unit, you could have liquid refrigerant come back to the compressor. I think that's true, but if it's charged correctly, I think most of the manufacturers actually do that, and they're planning on using a single stage unit. Trane has enhanced mode. American Standard has Comfort R. York has ramp mode D. Amana has D as well too, and they all do the same thing where they step it down. And I know on Trane you can cut the BK jumper and use a dehumidistat if you want and ramp down the blower motor. Like that's exactly what you want to do if you want to dehumidify, slow down the blower speed, right?
Yeah. And like on some of our geothermals we got a reheat coil. So instead of taking the heat from the condenser back into the loop of the building, we literally will run it into another coil that looks like an evaporator that's actually stacked with the evaporator, and it'll recirculate through that coil to basically temper the air and to keep it within 1 degree. And then it, if it gets too high on the temperature, then it'll revert back. It's a modulating BLEMO valve, and then it'll start dumping it back into the loop. Problem we run into, these new schools are trying to maintain humidity levels that are kind of, they have makeup air units, but they're so cheap because, they got their big fancy school they had to have. Now they don't have the money to operate all the machinery that they need, as far as, well, we can't cool the building when, we bring in this outside air. And it's like, yeah, well, there's a reason why they had it here. So they're trying to do everything half-assed and try to save money. And then they're trying to run dehumidification in the middle of winter, which makes no sense. And on the Climate Masters, they were having issues with them tripping out and locking out because the freeze stat was freezing or was tripping or whatever the case. I forget what it was. They came out with an update on it. But yeah, the Bosch thing, I mean, there's just no way to control the speed out there. It does its own thing. It's all based off of time and temperature. And like I said, they don't really give you all of the information on how they decide what it's going to do.
It does what it wants.
It does what it wants when it wants to do it. Mm-hmm. Schools have to bring in 50% outside air, LOL. Yeah, I don't know all the rules, all the laws. I mean, I just know how to fix the stuff. So, I mean, it goes right back to knowing, you can't know it all. It's just, we got people that have all the different certifications. That's why they're specialized doing whatever it is they're doing.
I heard
things like that.
That like in the Midwest, like obviously it's 400 CFM per ton is what everyone knows, right?
That's what we are around here.
What I talked to somebody from Trane, and they said the Trane units, the efficiency, they're actually rated. They get the efficiency rating based off of 325 CFM per ton.
Which Carrier's big on 325 and 350. They call it comfort speed. They have comfort versus efficiency and something else. They've got that, and they run theirs too. Now, Carrier's always been more advanced than Linux. So who I've worked for has always been a Linux or Carrier dealer, or I worked for a Ream Rude dealer. Most of my time has been with Linux and Carrier. So, the Carrier's always been more advanced than the Linux. And Trane, there's only one guy in town that sold that. So I don't have a lot of experience with the Trane stuff. Most of it's the old stuff that they had with the V-plow burners from, 80% models. So all I can do is talk about the Carrier mainly for their ratings, and yeah, they do down to 325 and stuff all the time. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Carrier Greenspeed ones, yeah. They're and that's one of those things too. I mean, you know, I've been through the class and I have the book on it, but it's usually just figuring it out as I'm there. I mean, I can't get, you know, as good at that as I can some of the other stuff because there's just not that many of them going wrong. Mitsubishi's the same way with me. So, I mean, you know, we don't have that many issues. Like I'm City Multi certified and I've got the little fancy controller and stuff I can hook to my laptop, but hell, I don't remember how to freaking do half the crap because they don't have that many problems.
You need the audiobooks version so you can listen
There's
to
too
it
much to
as a
know.
refresher.
Too much now.
There you go, Bill. If you're still on, that's what you should do. You could moonlight as reading HVAC, record your voice doing audiobooks of HVAC manuals. That'd be hilarious.
Him and Steve.
Steve Lav?
Steve Demansky. HVAC resident.
Oh, yeah, he's got that growl. They'd be good.
You know who's the best voice in HVAC, I think? What is his name? Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson. Do you remember him? He was on he called in at Chop Talk all the time. He called in with HVAC overtime quite a bit. But yeah, he's like a voice model.
A voice model.
I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
there's certain people that's got kind of a neat sound. I like Gil's voice. I mean, and I've started listening to some of his podcasts because I never listened to podcasts, and I'm starting to get addicted to it a little bit because it, you know, as long as you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of thought and you're just like doing a PM or something like that, I mean, you can literally listen to it. And then I've started listening to a lot of Brian's stuff too. He's got tons of stuff. I mean, he's a geek just like Bergman on, you know, all this information that's like, yeah, the stuff you didn't know or didn't know that you needed to know, or you might have forgot that you didn't know you needed to know, or however the hell he says it. But it's so true. There's so
I feel like
things.
I feel like I could, you know, we could have Bergman on the show every week and it wouldn't get old. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I would have loved to had him for our teacher. I mean, it would have been freaking awesome. I mean, these kids, he did high school. What he taught was in high school. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. These kids got this for free? I'm like, holy crap.
He's just, I think part of him is he's so excited and so passionate about what he does that he gets you sucked in and gets you excited about it all over again because he's so passionate and excited about it. And that makes all the difference too.
And that's how I am. I mean, I was burned out. I didn't care about this field anymore. But when I got into the refrigeration and started doing new stuff, it was like, okay, now I'm going to learn how to do it the right way. And I'm going to care about pulling the perfect vacuum. I'm going to care about doing it this way, that way. Because, I mean, when you get around a lot of negative people and you get burned out doing the same old crap nonstop, I mean, doing 3 startups and then going out and do some no heat, no cools or whatever, you just don't care anymore. And you got to love what you're doing. And you can see it that he cares about it and he likes it. And that's a lot of the reason why I like doing the video stuff, because I come from a place where a lot of the guys, the installers and stuff, you know, they had to do the startup, but they didn't really understand how to program the thermostats. They didn't know how to set fan speeds. And it was simple stuff. But, you know, I enjoyed explaining some of the things that I didn't know. And a lot of times that's what I talk about in the videos.
I got to tell you, if I'm running a service call and I'm looking at anything better than, you know, whatever, if it's a variable speed furnace or better modulating, I always look at how it's wired. If I have to pull up the manual, where the dip switches are at, if there's jumpers missing or whatever, because I would say 9 out of 10 times it's just not set up. It's effective settings. You know,
it's on default fan speed, and they complain it never heated right, cooled right. I mean, prior to where I am now, I mean, I literally, like I said, the heat pump, they were running the electric strips at the same time as the heat pump. The heat pump was running cooling mode when it should have been heat, because there was a jumper in the air handler that went from O to Y1. And it says in the manual, Y2. It was weird. They had Y1, 2, and 3 all tied together, and you had to undo those, and they had all these little asterisks at the bottom that nobody reads the manual. And, you know, and you got to go out there and you're like, well, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And you're like, wait a minute, why is my line not hot? And it's cold. And then you find out the wiring mistake. I mean, that was the kind of crazy crap that I dealt with all the time.
She needs to make an appearance. She's been a good girl. As you whack her head with the microphone.
that's another new shirt, eh?
This is one of them. I thought you guys had seen this one.
No, you haven't worn it yet. And
I've worn this once before.
No, not for your live stream. You haven't.
Yeah, I have.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have.
No, because I dress you. You haven't.
Whatever. I wore it.
Yeah, this is. Put the mic down because Adam hasn't seen it yet. See,
Very
it's
nice.
it's very fancy. I made it myself.
That's awesome.
Oh, yep, it's Chloe. Residential. He was like, Chloe.
She's a little demon, is what she is. She keeps attacking my older pug, and she's got a hell of a bite, and she's hurt his leg and everything else. And she's like, I've never liked female dogs. I always thought they were pusses, but they're different than humans. I mean, they literally are. They can be some aggressive little assholes. So
She gets that from her father.
yeah, whatever. Well, we're coming up on the 1:30 mark here, so we can probably start wrapping this thing up if you want.
I need to go poopy.
Yeah.
I had to, even though Chris isn't here. That's like, I put that on the board on the road podcaster specifically for Chris.
Does he have to poop?
All the time they joke that he has to poop when he's late on overtime, or if he has to like be like, hey, I'll be right back.
Oh.
And he like leaves the shot and comes back. They always joke that he had to go drop one.
Oh. She watches some of the stuff more than I do sometimes.
He doesn't pay attention.
Yeah, it is what it is. Working on the videos and things like that. But, well, I appreciate everybody coming out. If you guys would, to make sure you hit the thumbs up button out there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight. I appreciate Adam coming in here and helping bounce things off of him. It makes the night go quickly, and I wanted to kind of show, the Inficon stuff off a little bit, because I've been holding on to some of the video stuff for a while just because I want to make sure that I feel as though it's, a good unit before I say something about it. Plus, just I knew it was very expensive and not everybody was going to rush out and spend that kind of money on the one. But the other one I feel as though is pretty affordable. I mean, you figure the H10 Pro runs $5 to $550 area, depending on where you get it at. So at the $450 mark, and I'm sure there's places like Zorro Tools where you get the 20% off when they start carrying it, you'll be able to pick it up and save some major money on that. But I'll be doing like I said, in-depth video review and stuff, and mainly while on site looking for it, and I'll compare it against the two different units. When whether it be a reaching cooler or something like that, something we can get in there and scan for leaks or whatever. So, but I appreciate you coming on, Adam. That was great of you.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah, sorry I was late, but
Well, it gave me time to talk about the detectors and stuff, so it worked out great. No big deal at all. That's the reason why I don't usually plan stuff out too terribly much. I'm used to pretty well putting it all together as we roll. So our viewers are starting to say goodbye themselves out there.
Oh, they're going to miss all the fun stuff. Oh,
What
if
are
I
you
can hit the
doing?
things.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks now.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
I want to see motion and movement. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Motion and movement. Bye-bye.
Hit that thumbs button up there for me. All right. So, but yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and all the viewers out there. Thanks for coming in, spending some time with us and stuff like that. Thank you for the interaction and the questions and stuff. If I didn't get to any of your questions or if we missed it, you can always email me at HVAC Survival, HVACR Survival @gmail.com. You can always email me to that. That's down in the descriptions on the channel and things like, and with all the other information and stuff. So with that,
We're done. Finito. See the door, use it.
all right. So she's having too much fun here. But yeah, don't forget to thumbs up. Other than that, Adam, I appreciate you coming on, man. Have a good night. Be safe out there, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
You're still here? It's over.
It's over.
Go home.
Go home.
Go.
Go. Bye.